Hello, and welcome to this video on setting yourself up for online success. The best way to set yourself up for success in an online course is to keep yourself organized. This means looking at each class and creating an individualized plan for each one. Looking at things such as office hours, contact information, and technology. This way you can answer key questions like, how will I get in touch with my professor? When? What are my in-person parts of the course? With what technology? You also want to think of things like note taking and lectures. You want to ask yourself, how will I be given notes and lecture information? Will it be recorded? What strategies will maximize my efforts? What does the situation require? You want to think about your tests and quizzes. What kinds of assessments are given? Are they multiple choice, open ended, and what platforms are used? You also want to craft a study plan for every course. When and where should you prepare material? How often should you review? And when should you review? Next, you want to think about your reading assignments and your reading plans, asking yourself, what are the sources of information I have to read? How are readings organized and structured? What is the rhythm to the reading assignments? You also want to examine your daily assignments. What kinds of assignments do you have? What are you expected to do? Lastly, you want to identify any resources you have for your courses. What supports are in place for your success? How do you get in touch with those supports? As you go forward, you also want to make sure you know how to use technology for the class. Not every professor uses Canvas the same way, so it is helpful to look through each course and see how they organize things. Some organize it by week, some organize it by unit, some organize it as a running feed. No matter how they organize the material, you must make sure you can use it. Canvas has lots of tutorials available. Some things you might need to do include discussion posts, chat, quizzes, navigating groups, reading feedback, and completing peer reviews. You should also think about preparing a study space. This means your physical space and your digital space. Think about lighting. You don't want to strain your eyes, and you also don't want things to be too bright. Natural lighting has been shown to be best for focus and motivation long term. Think about seating and noise level. You want to be comfortable, but you don't want to fall asleep. Make sure you have supplies in one spot. You don't want to interrupt your flow. Digital organization is just as important. Students can lose lots of time and sometimes points searching for files, losing files, or uploading incorrect files. Use folders for each class and a folder for each semester. Label the files with the course name and date. If you like digital reminders, set up your calendar to remind you of your schedule. USF uses Outlook, which can do this, and Canvas can also send you notifications if you download their student app. Lastly, you need a guard for fatigue. Independent, self regulated studying is hard work. That said, you should be prepared to take more breaks. Professors often do this for you in the classroom by making shifts in topics. When you study online and independently, you'll have to make that happen for yourself. Even the best organized study space can go wrong if you don't manage your time well. You're going to have to spend more time on independent learning, and you're going to have to keep track of deadlines. Set reminders, make a schedule. Watch out for distractions, and if possible, find a peer in each of your classes to work with as a study partner. Now, looking at participation. Logging in every day is key to ensure you are up to date on what is happening in your courses and aware of any deadline changes. Logging in every day also makes time more manageable, as it is much easier to read through 5 replies each day than to read a week's worth of discussion posts over one day. It is also important to check all notifications for all of your courses. This includes announcements, emails, discussion boards, and grades. Make it a routine. It is also important to take notes when you are in an online class. You take notes to help you process and learn the material. Make sure you are taking notes from the lectures posted online and from the readings. Lastly, it is possible you may have a question come up. Make sure you reach out to your professor if you have confusion on course expectations, due dates, or content. So, what do you do with those video lectures? Well, first, minimize those distractions. Close all other tabs and disable notifications for other apps while listening. Also, it is important to stick to a schedule. There is a reason your content is spaced out. Research shows that spaced repetition is key to learning. And as previously mentioned, make sure you take notes. Have paper and a pen ready and label the notes clearly. When you listen for a purpose, you retain more information than if you didn't. Lastly, ask questions about the lecture, either in your discussion post to your classmates or to your professors or a tutor. For studying, you'll likely have to adapt your strategies for an online environment. So, just what does that look like? Well, if you like to study in a public place, like a lounge, when you're online, you'll want to think about what makes that public space effective. If you cannot go to the public place, what can you do to recreate it at home? If you like to study in a quiet space like a library and cannot always access one for your online courses, you will want to again recreate that environment at home. If there are lots of distractions at home, be creative on minimizing their effect. Can you sit facing a corner? Can you work at hours that others are not awake? Can you utilize noise canceling headphones to drown out noise? If you like to study with groups but do not have the time or ability to meet up in person with your classmates, create a Zoom or Teams session for studying together online. If you like to study in a classroom using a whiteboard, be creative with whiteboard spaces online. But ultimately, the biggest key to your online success will rest on your willingness to get support. USF has lots of great supports for you, so ask your professor. Utilizing tutoring from the Academic Resource Center is an example of one of those supports. Regarding technology support, Canvas has lots of tutorials and support within Canvas. USF Tech Support can also help you. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.